All right, guys, what's going on? We have the distinct pleasure of having Mr. Jay Kinder on today. I'm pretty fired up, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Hey, man, I'm happy to be here.
So if you guys don't know Jay, number one, you're the only people who haven't if you're in the real estate world. And number two, I could go down the slew of statistics to tell you why you want to listen to what Jay's got to tell you. But the two big ones that stand out for me, this guy was the number 2 Coldwell Banker agent worldwide at one point. And honestly, as crazy as that one is, the next one blows my mind even more, man. You owned 14% of your market at one point?
Yeah, it's crazy. And the even crazier part of that statistic is that I was only number 2 in my market. So there was a Remax team that had about 18% market share. And so, yeah, so as crazy as that sounds, I was literally never even number 1 in my own market, which I'm still not very happy about. But nonetheless, it was a good way to compete every day against somebody that was definitely a great competitor.
Yeah. No, are you guys good friends still?
No, we're not friends at all. Let me
Absolutely
just be very clear about that.
And this is back in Walters, Oklahoma. Is that right?
Well, so I'm from Walters, Oklahoma, which is like, the running joke is I tell people I graduated in the top 25 of my class, but there was only 36 of us. So the town that's closest to that is Lawton, Oklahoma, which was, it wasn't a big town, 100,000 folks, whatnot. So that was the town that I, sold most real estate in and lived in. And so it was an interesting market to grow up in. And, average sale price wasn't the greatest, but I learned an awful lot, learned how to sell and, I think 500 plus homes a year for multiple years and competed against a really good competitor that helped me to hone my skills, get better at how you articulate your value and things of that nature. But yeah, it was good. It was fun. Wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. I think it's kind of what made me kind of, as the business guy that I am today.
Yeah, that's impressive. So the whole reason I do my show here is I want to give real estate agents, really anybody in the industry, but mostly realtors, the chance to look at different people who are providing different things in the real estate industry that can help them improve, right? So I've got some app creators coming on. I've got some real estate agents, some big brokers, some leaders in the industry. And so a lot of the questions that I'm asking you is to get out of you things that can help other realtors.
Sure.
So looking at the amazing success that you have had, what would you say the 1 or 2 things that you did early on, at least?
Mm-hmm.
What would those 1 or 2 things be that made you successful as a realtor?
Right. So yeah, that's an easy one. The first thing that I did was I invested in myself, and what I mean by that is there was nothing that I wouldn't go attend to learn. If I had to leave my marketplace, if I had to leave my family, whatever it was, to go learn and grow and be around the right kind of people. That was a big deal for me. And so, when, I would go to these events, I would buy whatever it was they were selling, and then I would come back and try it. Right. And, I don't know if that's a rare quality or not, but for me, I always got something, and I always moved up a notch in my business. And so that was the number one thing that I did was I tried to surround myself with people that were where I was trying to get to and that were offering some type of value, and that's all around us now. No different than this podcast is one of those opportunities is consuming content, trying to find people that were doing what I wanted to do. And I was a really good copycatter is what we always called it. But Jay Abraham used to get mad when I called it that because it's modeling success is what he would tell us it is.
Yeah.
And we're devaluing it by calling it copycatting. But we're really trying to just duplicate what other people have done to be successful. And I did a lot of that over the years and found a lot of success in learning from others.
It's funny you say that because I've talked to a lot of people who've had a great deal of success. And that's something that just about every single one of them says. I think so many new people think, right. What new thing do I need to come up with to just get the market rolling here? And it's like, you don't need to do that. You don't need to rethink it. You don't need to nothing. Just go find a stud, do what that guy did, and then go find another stud and do what that guy does. And I agree, man. I think that's the way to go. It's way more efficient.
Well, yeah, the hardest thing about real estate is there's so many ideas and there's so many things you could do. And so, you get priority confusion or worse, start listening to somebody that didn't do what you're trying to get to. Like they're just, they're just sharing a bunch of, stuff that they've never applied and actually got results from. And so you listen to the wrong people, or worse, you don't have a path that you're on, based upon, here's where I'm at, here's where I'm trying to go. What's the, evaluating what are all the ways to get there, and then what's the best way.
Yes.
And that's the key is knowing what you're saying no to, or no, not right now. And what's the one thing I'm going to do that's the next best step for me, where I'm at based on where I want to go. And so like, there's not anybody teaching that. They're just selling you stuff, right? Everybody's selling something. Everybody's got something to sell. And, you got to kind of whittle through that and eventually kind of come up with a way for what I call is a decision filter for how you say yes or no to things. And once you kind of get clear, I think the biggest mistake is, don't say yes to things that, if your business is coming all from your broker, well, what happens if your broker decides to give that to somebody else? If your business is coming all from Zillow, well, what happens if Zillow decides to quit giving you deals based upon the money exchange, which they do every so often, right?
Yeah.
And so like, if you're not controlling your own destiny, then you gotta see that as a threat, and you got to remove that revenue stream and replace it with one that you're in control of, for how to acquire a customer through your own efforts in marketing and prospecting, or whatever it may be. And so that's the key to not being hit by a 2x4 and waking up someday going, oh my God, what happened to my business?
You just partially answered every question I got, man. That was amazing. So
appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. You're making this easy.
I'll drink to that.
There we go. One thing that I've had success with, and I see a lot of people not doing, and I want to get your take on this, is when I go to one of those talks, one of those events, whatever it is, they're fun. They're rah-rah. They get you fired. Everybody leaves that place fired up. I don't care who you are.
Right.
But then 3 weeks from then, you ask people like you what they're doing, and they're doing things. They've already failed at 3 things and found the one that worked. You ask 99% of those other people, and they're just fired up. They don't know what they're fired up about. They're not implementing anything. They don't have an action plan. They didn't write down things that are actionable that they can go home and do. And I really push people, like, grab a doggone notebook, bring it, and fill it with actionable tasks, man. And before you leave, like while you're on the plane, while you're driving home, whatever it is, literally task yourself with deadlines to get all those new ideas done.
That's so true. Yeah, that's such great advice for those of you who are listening. It sounds like, oh yeah, that's obvious, right? Captain Obvious. But most people don't do it. And it was the one thing that, and I learned it at one of the events. I don't remember which one. They gave you a sheet that broke it down. Like, I'm going to try to do this in the next 90 days. I'm going to try to do this in the next 60 days, and this in the next 30 days. And as you took your whole long list of all these ideas and all these notes, and take the time to whittle that down to your action plan, right? Like that's really that's what it should be. And then go execute on what you have based upon, and you're not going to get it all done. And, sometimes you go back to the same event, a year later or 6 months later or whatever, and you come back and, a handful of those things you've done. And then, there's still some of those things you haven't got done, and things get more clear, or something jumps ahead of that on the list. And you're like, oh, you know what? I didn't see that last time. Okay. That needs to be done next one. You just start to get more clear. But if you don't have a way for, again, trying to whittle down, based on your goals, what's important, and having an action plan. I talk about it all the time. It's time management. Like if most real estate agents would take the time to, like, every 20 minutes or every 15 minutes, write down what it is they're doing all day long, you would understand why you're not making any money. You're not doing things that are dollar productive. And so, like, there's so much time in the day that we all have the same number of hours. It's really just a matter of where you're investing your time, and not allowing, people to waste your time, and not, doing things that aren't dollar productive, $10 an hour work, things of that nature. That once you really know what works, just do more of that. Double down on that thing.
Yes. Yeah. So I am a huge fan of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Right.
And I love, like he says, listen, if you suck at this, don't do it. Hire it out.
No.
Right. And, I don't think that's how most of us were brought up. Most of us were brought up with parents who tell you, like, listen, you need to look at your flaws, your weaknesses. That's where you need to put all your efforts into. And the more I get into this, the more I think that's absolutely the wrong. I get where they're coming from, but that's the wrong advice, man. Forget those things.
Yeah. I was just dumb enough to not know what I didn't know. But the first person I hired, I didn't have a hiring plan. I didn't have an org chart. I didn't have roles and responsibilities, the things I know better today. But no, I didn't do any of that. But I knew the things that I didn't like doing. So that, some part of me knew that I shouldn't be doing it if I didn't like it. And and I normally wasn't very good at it. And so like when, I think that's true. If it's a weakness or something, that's you're not really great at, and there are other things that you are great at and you don't enjoy doing it, that for the most part, outside of the skill set of talking to people and understanding how to articulate your value and create a relationship with people, that one you can't delegate. You can try to delegate that, but if you don't have it, you could never manage someone to do it for you anyway. So that's the one thing that I don't think you can delegate is your skills around how to build a relationship and articulate your value to get a buyer or a seller to want to do business with you. That's the most important skill that if you parachuted in any place in the country that you could go sell real estate.
Yes.
And that's one thing that you can't delegate. Everything else, it's amazing how much you can delegate.
Yeah. On your bio, it states that you live by the words or align with the words of Steve Jobs in saying no more than saying yes. And you talked about that a little bit, but will you get into that a little bit deeper? What does that mean?
Yeah. So, there's so many things that do. We call it priority confusion. And, there's all kinds of ways to make money, and there's all kinds of things you could be doing and people will ask you to do. And it's getting clear on when you're really clear on where you're at and what you need to do to get where you go. It's so easy to say no to things that aren't congruent to your vision. Right. So if somebody's asking, hey, do you want to do this thing or that thing? And if it's not in complete alignment with your core values, what your beliefs are, your belief systems and things that what you feel are like how you behave, then that's one set of filters. And then the other filter is like, is this going to help me get to where I'm trying to go faster? Yeah. If it's not completely aligned to that, then you have to say no, because it's going to take you off of your path and focused on something different that's not in alignment. Now, it could be in alignment. And then if that's the case, if it checks yes, aligned to core values, yes, aligned to helping me go from here to here, then you say yes until you have to say no, right? You always say yes to something that's in alignment, but you always say no to something that's misaligned. And that's really and the more successful you get, the harder that becomes, because there's going to be even more opportunities coming your way, more things that are dragging you away from what your core competency is and the things that are working for you, and opportunities and business opportunities and these other things that are going to come at you. And, you just have to, every time I've done it, it's taken me a step backwards and misaligned me in the direction where I was trying to get to. And so, that's kind of what I mean by that is, it's easier to, it's like also Steve Jobs says, it's easier to look and see, and understand, that you should have taken or whatever. And it's the same, once you get to a certain stage, you're like, yeah, I see where I messed up now. And so those things are often always true.
So give me an example for a realtor doing, a newer realtor, maybe 10, 20 deals a year. What is something that they might do where you would say, hey, listen, I might not do that if it doesn't align with your core values. And I would say no more than yes.
Right. So as a newer agent, it's really hard because there's so many things that you could do to be successful, and you don't really know what's, necessarily in alignment. It's like, I'm trying to get to my next deal. And so everything seems to be in alignment. So, if somebody was presenting you with an opportunity to join an MLM or something like that, and you're a brand new agent trying to be successful in real estate, I'd say that might be misaligned. And unless it was somehow aligned to real estate. And so there, things like that I would say are misaligned. Now, the real question, as you get into real estate as a brand new agent and you're trying to become successful is, well, what's the goal, right? Like, and I think it starts as a financial goal. Like, there's a certain amount of money that you make that you're either going to stay in real estate or you're going to get out. Yep. There's a certain amount of money that allows you to say, I'm going to stay in this full time, or I'm going to keep my part-time job or whatever. And so, you got to be clear on, well, how many deals do I need to do in order to hit, for me to say, this is my career. And whatever is going to help you to do those things, you got to continue to iterate on things until you find something that works. And so, there's so many things you can do in real estate that don't cost anything, right? Like, we do an open house, we call it the ultimate open house. And it's crazy, but if I was broke and I had no money whatsoever, I would find an agent has a house for sale that would allow me to hold it open. Yeah. And I would triple down on the number of signs. I would leverage, Facebook to do a custom audience and invite people to that open house. And, we had a guy that just did one the other day, and he had 50 something people come through his open house. Wow. When I used to sit open houses, maybe 3 to 5 couples would come through. I hated open houses. Why? Because I was under optimized. He put out 150 signs. I would put out 3 to 5 signs. Right? So if you can increase the number of signs, you think you might increase the number of people that show up? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, then why would you do anything different? Spend an extra hour putting out more signs and get more people to show up. It's like, but again, it all comes down to like, unless I had met Brent Gove, who's a good friend of mine who used to he called it the open house on steroids. And the first time I ever did it, it was over 80 something people that came to the open house. I was like, this is bananas. Like,
wow.
It was this was actually a short sale house that we had no electricity on at the time. And it was dark, but because the signs were all still out and I couldn't leave the open house to go take the signs down, people it just never ended. The open house was like the open house that never ended. And so like people just kept coming and kept coming. And I was like, how simple was that, right? One simple idea of put out 3 to 5 open house signs, which is what most people do, and change that to 150 open house signs and see what happens to the volume of people that come to that house. And we sold 4 or 5 houses from that, and it's like, okay, if I'm ever going to do that activity again, I'm going to do it either all in or I'm just not doing it. I'm never doing it the way, I did it for years where 3 to 5 people would show up and I would watch TV and I'd be bored and be like, thank God thank God the NFL's playing today on a Sunday, like at least watch a game. But yeah, that's like, until you meet people that have, that are doing things at a high level, you don't really even know what you don't know. So you do the open houses, you waste time and it doesn't get you anywhere. But yeah, plug into those ideas that people that have had a high level of success is really the key.
So you brought up core values, and for me, core values is a huge thing. I mean, I don't know how you do any higher level planning for yourself, for your business without having core values. Is that something when you get brand new guys underneath you that you push, or at what point in their career do you push that, and how do you help that align with their planning?
Yeah, it's a great question, man. And it's hard. I think it's really hard for people to get their head around the value of having core values when it's just them. And so you kind of almost have to think about it from your family perspective first. Is like, there's certain things that if I have to spend time with somebody and they have the opposite of my core value, that I'll lose it. I mean, I just can't deal with that person. And the people that drive you the most crazy, like the people that makes your hair stand up on the back of your neck, probably there's a mismatched core value there. So like I'm growth mindset, and anyone who's fixed mindset or people that make excuses, I want to smash them in the head. Like, I just can't deal with you if you're going to make excuses, you would never work for me ever. And so like, there's certain things that we learn over time, and people that we deal with, people that work for us that are either just completely misaligned as to what you stand for and what you stand against. And for me, being a constant learner and consistently reading and learning and growing. I know I got a book on here, so over here somewhere. What's the latest? The latest is my good buddy's book, The G Code. So if you haven't got Ryan Stewman, The G Code, this is a new book from one of my really good friends. Have a tremendous amount of respect for him. It just came out. I got 10 copies of it. I'm giving out 9 of those copies. I'm keeping one. Probably keep 2 of them. One for my kid. One of my kids to keep. They can all read the same one probably, but just trying to always grow and get better. Like, if you've never read a book in the last 5 years, we're probably not going to hang out a lot, because we're not going to have a lot to talk about, because you're not consistently growing. And so there's certain things that are our personality types, but they really drill down to, like, at our core, like, this is who we are, and like, I want to be around people that are like me or that make me want to improve and level up, And so like, but to answer your question, I don't think a lot of people, that's not the first thing you need to focus on. I mean, I think at a certain point it should be, it probably should be, but it's not going to make you any money. But getting clear on that, there's an exercise that Darren Hardy does. I think if you probably Google it, and it's I don't care. It's core. Just Google Darren Hardy and core value exercise. His book is called The Compound Effect. My favorite book he wrote. It's really good as well. But he goes into this process of getting clear on your personal core values if you don't know what they are. And like, it gets down to this point where it asks you, like, if you had to teach your child, son or daughter, one value, what would that one lesson you want them to teach, right? And like, you want to talk about getting real quick. Like, I can teach them one thing out of all these values that you've narrowed down to 6, from 10 to 6 to now you got to pick one. What's that one thing you would teach your child? That starts to get real honed in on who you are and what you're about. And, for me, it's always been, my grandmother died of cancer, and she was told she was going to die like 8 years prior to when she died. And she used to have on her refrigerator, the picture of the frog that was choking the throat of the crane that's trying to eat it. Right. Everybody's seen that. photo, but it was awesome. As a kid, I saw it growing up, and she was, you know, she was told she was going to die for 8 years. That was up there, and she just refused to
Grandma
die.
was
Like,
the frog.
right. She was absolutely. And so for
Yeah.
me, it's like, don't ever give up, right? Like, don't ever give up. And that was just something that was kind of ingrained in me through my grandmother. So like, that's one of my, like, I'm not my kids to quit and give up. It's just who I am. So like, but everybody has a story like that, but sometimes you got to go through this little process to figure it out. And I think that's an important one for sure.
Man, that's a great response. That's a great response. I'm figuring that same question in my head, man.
Right. It's tough.
It really is. And I'm saying this off the cuff. So if I thought about it harder, would I change it? Maybe. But I think for me, it would probably be just ownership. You know, if you want to be lazy, then you're going to get the results of a lazy person. If you want to work your ass off, then you're going to get the results of somebody who works their ass off. And as long as you're cognizant of that,
yeah,
you can do whatever the hell you want.
Dude, you're that's my number two, probably. Like, it sounds like Jocko Willenick, accountant.
Dude, that's exactly who
I read some of the same books
this morning.
Right.
You know Alex Haig?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Alex this morning, he sent me a personalized video while he's jogging, right? So it's just like David Goggins. He sends me a 10-minute video for me, beating up on me for one of my weaknesses. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it.
Love friends like that.
Yes. Yes. But how many people, like, you've got to have one hell of a relationship with somebody to feel comfortable enough with them for them to beat you up on something, and you take it in a manner that's not criticism. It's helpful. It helps you grow. I know that guy just wants to see me crush it. That's it.
Right. Yep. It's, you know, love is, accountability is the highest form of love, right? Yeah. Like once you realize that somebody that actually gives a shit enough about you to actually hold you accountable to either A, what you said you should do, or B, what they know you should be doing, and what you know you should be doing, that's a special friend to have. And I've got that same thing in Michael Reese my entire career. There's, you know, the dude just don't let up. And you know what I'm saying? Like, on the days that I would have slept in, on the days that I would have maybe not pushed harder, you know, I've got a guy there that's not that he's leading by example, number one. Yeah. Or he's just not letting me, you know, he's not letting me tell myself a bullshit story. He's going to call me out.
Yes.
And that's, dude, you can't beat, you know, and when you create an environment, like a true environment around that is, you know, what you could accomplish is incredible. And so, yeah, mad props to Alex. I love him. He's awesome. Glad that, and we need to include you guys. We have a daily accountability group via text message.
Yeah. And, awesome.
Yeah. And every day, man, everybody sends a photo of your workout. And so every day, even if you're not working out, you're like, dang, man, shoot, I know I need to get that in.
Photo of you sleeping?
Yeah, you don't do that. That's for sure. Like, but you know, every day, even on the days when I'm not working out, I'm thinking about it because I'm in this group text and I see everybody posting theirs. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, they didn't want to do it, or video. Like, I didn't want to do it today. I was dying. I did it anyways, man. Don't give in. You know, don't give it to your story. You get it. You know, get it done. Like, you get these texts all throughout the day. It gets kind of crazy, but it's you know, that kind of support group is you know, it's invaluable. You know, I mean, what is that worth? You know what I mean? Like, you know, we tell ourselves our own stories. We let ourselves off the hook.
Yes.
You know, you can't rely on your own willpower to be successful. Surround yourself with people that care enough about you to hold you accountable.
You are who you hang out with, period.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Love it.
So let's talk EXP a little bit. I honestly I don't think I honestly had ever heard of EXP until a few months ago. And my good buddy, Dean DeVries, had just made the switch over. You know Dean?
Yeah, I know Dean, yeah.
Same mind, man, as Alex. Like, those guys are great
friends. Good people. And he had just made the switch to EXP, but he said, hey, buddy, I bought you a ticket to a big event. We're going to go down to Key West. I got you a hotel room. It's going to be awesome. It's a mastermind. Let's do it. And I was like, oh, awesome. Cool. So we get down there, and the first night we're up on top of a hotel, and I'm shaking hands. Hey, Joe Rosen, Keller Williams. And it was whoever the hell, EXP. Oh, cool. Hey, Joe Rosen, Keller Williams. Oh, hey, somebody else, EXP. And I'm like, Dean, there's a lot of people from EXP here. He's like, oh, I didn't mention that. This is an EXP event. I was like, oh, man, you're trying to recruit me. But I'll tell you, as props to EXP, I got zero recruitment, even out of the guys who got me into that event, got me a hotel. And the 1 hour
in the whole 2-day event where we actually talked about EXP, because I didn't talk about EXP the whole time.
Right.
That hour wasn't even a pitch to me. It was a pitch to the EXP agents in that room talking about how to chill out a little bit on EXP and actually build a relationship with agents.
Right.
Because maybe they don't need EXP, maybe they do, but like focus on them for real instead of trying to pitch them EXP. And I thought, man, this is really interesting, but I've never heard of the doggone thing. And now it's all I hear about. Everywhere I go is EXP. So here's my question, I guess, is like this thing seems pretty hot right now. And I think, now I'm not at EXP. So when I look at that, and I don't know that I know everything to know about EXP too. So feel free to tell me, why would somebody go to EXP? And is this a trend that's making it so hot, or is this something that you think has legs to stick around for a while, and why?
Yeah. So, man, that's a great question. And so when you look at where's the real estate industry going, and what are we all going to bet on, right? I mean, there's some legitimate threats to the real estate professional, right? iBuyer, where they're bypassing the real estate agent, and there's a lot of technology that are coming on the scene and people that are pulling in a lot of different directions. But really, when you look at what's the one thing that that seems to be the thing that can live past everything, it's the collective minds of the most successful real estate agents in the industry, I believe. And so, like, when you no different than what we started the conversation around is around who you're around. Is there are agents right now that are doing 200, 300, 500 million of volume. And it doesn't really matter when you get to a certain level of volume, nobody's going to replace you, in your marketplace. You're the most recognized professional in your marketplace. And so part of it is being aligned with top agents in the industry that are successful in this current conditions of the market that are evolving and moving forward. But what's special about EXP is the business model. And they really nailed something special that I've never seen done in any industry. And it's very much what makes Amazon and Netflix and all these other cloud-based companies successful, which is it's just got to be a better model. It's got to be better. Like the reason that I have 5 packages today I picked up off my front porch from Amazon is because that was way easier than driving into to the town and grabbing every individual item. So the reason that I binge watched Game of Thrones on Netflix is because it's just easier than me going to Blockbuster and renting a series and going back and taking it back and renting the next one and so on and so forth. So like in order that's cloud-based, when you hear cloud-based, to be disruptive, it actually just has to be better. And so what people don't understand about EXP's business model is when you put something like the traditional brokerage model, which is essentially has been, when you think about it at the high level, not necessarily just from the agent's perspective, but from the high level, it was there's these regions and people. So somebody's at the top that owns it, whether it's Gary Keller or Realty or Lineker or whoever. And they would sell regions, and they would sell these regions for $500,000 or whatever, plus or minus. And that regional person bought that opportunity so they could go sell people in that territory franchises, and then they would all go build bricks and mortar, spend hundreds of millions of dollars building out these territories, and go recruit agents. And then you would pay royalties as an agent up to the top, and then they would split that with the person in the region. So these regional people would actually have bought, a $500,000 opportunity to revenue share off of agents that were in their region. That was the traditional model. That's how they grew. And it took them 10, 20, 30, really 30 to 50 years to grow to, 100,000 plus agents. So it was a slow growth kind of model, but it was all everybody ever knew. Well, Glenn Sanford saw an opportunity to be disruptive by creating a cloud-based real estate brokerage. Well, nobody really knows what that means. I had already joined the company before I really understood how brilliant it was. And so he thought of this in 2009. And when I think back about that, like he was in like 2 years after the iPhone came out. We didn't have, I think we had whatever, the music app and a handful of other apps, right? Like nothing really like what we have today. We weren't binge watching on Netflix at this point, right?
Yeah.
He said, it would be really cool if we took that instead of having this franchise, we created one company. We took the company public. We created ownership for agents. Agents meaning agents get ownership in a publicly traded company. for helping us grow that company and for being productive agents within the company. And we're going to allow agents to join this company, and every real estate agent that's a top agent knows other agents that are great agents. And why don't we let them revenue share off the agents that they bring into the company? And so they created this new opportunity that never existed, which is the revenue share side, which is just for people that think, oh, it's a recruiting model. Well, yes, it is a recruiting model. Every real estate model is a recruiting model. Sure. Every single one, right?
Yeah.
So the difference is now it's an opportunity for you to earn some money off the friends that you bring over to EXP, where that doesn't happen in any other model for the most part. Not at the significance of what it does at EXP. So that's one piece. But the reason it's better is once you get into EXP, you realize, well, hey, today they had 21 hours of training in the cloud. Well, why was there not 21 hours of training at your real estate office yesterday? Because they could not possibly deliver 21 hours consistently in every brick and mortar office.
Yeah.
And so the cloud is just a better way to deliver on training and support, which is the only reason that we joined a brokerage in the first place. As we get successful and we do deals on our own and we learn how to navigate, being successful in real estate, we're less dependent on the brokerage that we're at, and we're more dependent on ourselves. And we really see less value in paying them anything over time. And that's been traditionally how most successful real estate agents look at it. So the most successful real estate agents now are saying, hey, well, I could go to EXP. There's a $16,000 cap, which is not very much compared to a lot of models. And then you can earn that $16,000 back in stock in the company, which you don't get in any other company. And that could be worth something over time. Who knows? And then there's this passive income opportunity where I can actually make, let's say it's $5,000 or $2,000 or $10,000 a month. People that are making a lot more than that are recruiting agents to EXP. So what's happening is like a magnet. All the top agents in the country are like, I see opportunity, and I see a lot of really smart people I like and I would like to be in business with or be aligned to and working with. And so they're all kind of gravitating to EXP, and we're all working together to help build this company and help each other build our real estate businesses together. And there's this alignment piece, this like magic, right? Like when it's not, like you used to have to pay me a lot of money to get my time. Now I help everybody because we all win together. I have ownership in the company. I'm getting revenue share off my entire group. What could be better? And so there's this fulfillment of getting to help other people without having to ask for money that is also attracting the high people that money is not the most important thing anymore. So it's just it's a really special business with a really special leadership team and a really special group of top people that are interested in being a part of something different that doesn't feel as slimy as that traditional real estate model.
So I've got a couple questions. You mentioned revenue share. I'm at Keller Williams. Keller Williams has profit share. What's the difference?
Yeah, sure. So, at risk of getting some hate mail from Keller Williams agents, maybe even a letter from leadership or an attorney, I'll just tell you a story that happened to me this week. I had an agent that was really interested in joining EXP. Went back to their OP. The OP offered them $20,000 to stay and no cap for the next, I don't even know, indefinitely, let's say. I'm not sure what the offer was, but pretty sure no one else in that office that knows that that's happening. And so anytime you have people getting special deals and things of that nature, and if you're getting profit share, which in the structure of profit share means after all expenses, which includes hundreds of millions of dollars worth of real estate or whatever their expenses are. And then if there's any money left over, we're going to share 50% of that with any of the agents who bring in certain numbers of agents. And the problem with it is, first of all, it's brilliant. I give Gary Keller a lot of credit for what he built. And he's been one of the industry icons and leaders for the last, ever since I've been in the business, for sure. And brilliant. But it's not a knowable number. Right. So you don't know if there's going to be any profit to actually share. So even though it's an opportunity to people, what I've seen is agents tend to not focus on it because you don't really know if there's ever any profit going to be there or not. And it's not really like I see how much money I can make. And I always use the analogy of the difference is revenue share. Revenue share comes off the top. So if you think about, like, you've seen Shark Tank before, probably.
Yeah.
All right. So, the guy, Mr. Wonderful, at the end of the whole deal, if everybody's out, Mr. Wonderful always has one special offer that he makes, and it's the royalty deal. He's like, I want to make a little bit off the top of every deal that you sell, every widget you sell, and that's his offer. Well, that's a terrible deal, for most business owners, because he's going to get paid off the top no matter what, whether the company is profitable or not. You're getting paid off the top. That's a really good deal for you, and that's not something rarely do you see that opportunity to earn revenue share off the top of something. And so that's why Mr. Wonderful likes that deal. And that's also why I like that deal. I like the fact that I get paid off the top of every real estate agent that joins EXP. I don't have to question whether I'm going to make, what I'm going to make, or do the math or try to figure it out. I'm getting a piece off of the top of every agent that joins under our group. So that's just a special thing that is completely different when of every agent versus it getting down to profit off the whatever, if any profits available, I might get the share in that. Is a different. It's an opportunity of a lifetime, in my opinion, because I've never seen anybody that would offer anything off the top like that, and it's just a completely different number. It's a noble number. It's something that you can count on. It's something that could be significant and mean a lot to your life.
So I've never asked this question. I think I get it, but I want to ask you just a clarifying question here. If I've got someone under me at Keller, and now I'm an EXP guy, and I've got someone under me at EXP, that's what I'm comparing here. Mm-hmm. At Keller, if I know their sales, you're telling me I don't necessarily know what my profit share is going to be. But if I'm at EXP and I know their sales, I know exactly what my revenue share is going to be.
That's my understanding. And maybe there's I've never been pitched and like seen how they like pitch profit share. Yeah. But my understanding is that if you were to try to calculate, your revenue or your profit share, you wouldn't know that because you don't know what the expenses for that month are going to be. And they could, right. Yeah. And versus, the revenue share is, hey, here's, they closed the transaction, they made X amount of dollars, you're going to get a percentage of that. And it's going to show up in your account and it's going to show up in your dashboard first. And then it's going to show up in your account on the 21st of every month. So it's a very, one of the things that they did that when you think about, like, when you see little things that were really important to make things work, like when I joined, there was 5,000 agents at EXP. The one thing that worked the best was the revenue share dashboard. And every single day, if somebody sells a home, my revenue share would move up a certain amount of dollars based on whatever that amount is. And so you get into this habit of checking it every day. It's like watching the stock, like your stock, when your stock's going up. Yeah. So that one thing, if they hadn't nailed that, I don't think people would have recognized how big the opportunity was. So you got 8 or 10 or 12 or whatever agents under you, all of a sudden you start seeing the math every month. I mean, I have people that join and that, they're hopeful, right? That hey, hopefully this is real. But then, they've been in for a little while. Maybe they got 20 agents underneath them, and they've been kind of focused on a little bit on, adding some, leveraging the opportunity to bring agents on and building their team and bringing other people on as well. And then all of a sudden it's like, and it goes up and it's like 2,000, like, oh, look, it's at 2,000. And then it's like, it's at 4,000. Like, oh my God, it's at 4,000. I can't believe it. That's unbelievable. I can't believe, like, so you start to get excited about it because it's in real time in front of you all the time. Right. And so that's a little nuance that if they hadn't nailed that, if I couldn't have seen that as I was focused on it, I would have probably lost interest in it. Like thinking it was, I don't know how big a deal this is or not. I can't see it actually growing each month. And so I think that's a little nuance that I know this. I check my revenue share dashboard at least 10 times.
At least 10 times. So how often?
Oh yeah, at least 10 times. More than I check Facebook. I'll tell you that.
So when we were in Key West, you showed me on your phone what I think is exactly that. Is that an app, or you?
It's the enterprise. It's your enterprise login for everything EXP, and everything that you want is on there. You want to see your stock. You want to see how many shares of stock you've earned. You want to see your transaction data, how close you are to hitting your cap, or if you're getting close to Icon and getting that 16,000 back. All of that is all in real time in the app. And so it's just an app on the phone. I check it all the time. It's literally on my computer, open every day, all day. And it's in real time updating. So super cool.
It's pretty motivating.
It is. It gets your attention. That's for sure.
Yeah, it certainly does. So let me ask one more EXP question. With the training, you said, as an example, maybe you had 21 out of 24 hours where you had training. Are these trainings, what are they like? Am I going in there and I'm seeing Jay Kinder teach me how to get a listing, or what is it?
Yeah. So a great question. And once again, every time I think I'm pretty critical because I believe that, we've built some really world-class training for real estate agents. And so I'm a little bit biased to the quality of training that I see in the industry. And so at first I was I questioned a little bit about, okay, we're going to have all this training. Who's doing what they did that was brilliant was they leveraged all of the top producing agents in the company. So part of the way that you earn that 16,000 back in stock is that you have to give back to the community. And so not to mention everybody wants to help everybody in this company anyway. So it's just a natural, it's an abundance mindset where everybody wants to share and give back.
I definitely felt that. That was
right.
unique. That is not. I'm not beating up on Keller at all because I've seen that at multiple places. It's not. I'm a Keller guy, so this sounds horrible. It's not a Keller thing. It's every damn agency out there. It's realtors. They just want to hide their secret, And when I was in Key West, every person in that room was a stud, and all they wanted to do was give away all their secrets and help you.
Right. Nothing held back. And it's rare. It is super rare. Even so, the funniest thing about being a coaching and consulting company after selling a ton of real estate and getting into the coaching and consulting, the number one thing our clients used to tell us, we used to do the survey and we would ask them the question. It's called the Net Promoter Score question, which is how likely, out of a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer us to your friends and family? And we would get tons of people that would say a 1. And we're like, damn, are we just not doing a good job? And we would talk to them. And the reason why is they would never want their competition to know about us. And so I'm like, that's the funniest thing ever. But that's real estate agents, right? We would be so good at helping them grow their business. They're like, don't ever let anyone in my market know about this. They would never spread. And so that's just what I've seen it in so many facets, that being the biggest, most awareness level, you know what I'm saying? Agents in my office never did anything. They never did anything if I gave it to them to do. But, and I was always just an abundance mindset of trying to share and give, but nobody else would ever do anything. But on the flip side of that, most agents just don't share their best ideas. The most successful ones don't. And it's mainly because you really are kind of the competition. And you might be competing I use Remax as an example because I remember walking through the halls and I know those people they would steal right from each other, right? They didn't care. They would compete against each other on the same listing every day if they had to. And in my market, that's how it was. And so, I just kind of recognized, dang, man, these people really are dog eat dog over here. You oftentimes don't hear the best ideas, or when, you come up to somebody and you're like, hey, what are you doing this working? And they'll tell you something, but it's not really necessarily true or the one thing that's really working. Yeah. And so it's cool to see that, that lack of scarcity and abundance mindset. And we all kind of know when we find that group of people, but this is the entire company that's built that way. And, they did it because they did alignment and compensation. They aligned the compensation and the opportunity in a way that made people stop being scarcity mindset and be abundance mindset. And you can, and I'm glad you said that, that you kind of felt that, but that is, it's a rare thing I've never seen before, but it's very cool.
Dude, not only is it rare, but these are monsters in the real estate industry that were in that little room.
Right.
And I'm telling you, man, I've had Veronica Figueroa reach out to me. I've had Kyle Whistle reach out to me. Alex and Dean have been phenomenal. Nick Good has reached out to all these guys have reached out to me and helped me because they met me one time and I asked them. Right. That is such a rarity, man.
Yeah, it's crazy because, not all of the people that you named are actually are ever going to probably benefit from you ever at some point, even if you join DXP.
And they know that.
Right. But it's just an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
And I think there's two things. I think to a certain point, the business model is attracting that behavior, but it's also that the business model is attracting that kind of person. Right. Yeah. And so when you nail that, and that's what I laugh about all the time, man, they nailed the business model. They nailed the business. That's what I'm saying. It's not so much that it's, the stock or just the technology or just the revenue share or just, but it's when you nail the environment of giving and sharing and abundance, you couldn't stop this. They couldn't screw this up, right? We're going to help this company grow because we care about this company. We care about, helping each other. They could do everything to help everybody be successful. And it's a pretty powerful thing when you really think about that.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to get away from EXP for a second. I'm going to be greedy. I want to, my big goal for about 8-9 months from now is to start a team. And, I had 10 years in the Army and I was a mid-level NCO. So I had lower level NCOs underneath me. And it was one of the most fulfilling things in my life, taking those guys and molding them from, all of them, including myself. When you start as an NCO, the way you get people to do what you wanted them to do is you yell at them and you make them do push-ups and you got knife hands, and that's how it works. And it does not work. Like, that just doesn't work long term, even in the Army, man. So I'd let them do it because you got to let them feel it. They got to feel the pain of my guys not doing what I want them to do. And then when you could take them in and show them how to be successful, and it's work because it's still people. There's still emotions. This guy's got marital problems. That one's got learning issues. And you have to be cognizant of all that. You have to be sympathetic to all that. And you still have to push those people forward. And if it's 40 people, they've got 40 different ways to push them forward, unfortunately. That's the business of humans, man. So
that's awesome.
It was so fulfilling that I truly want to get into a team. And so here's my question. What 2 pieces of advice would you have for someone in my position, right, who's at the single agent trying to get up to a team lead position, but at least one of your pieces of advice has to be a technical answer?
Okay, describe technical.
Like, it can't be a mindset. It's got to be something you action, something you do.
Yeah, so in order to build a team or successfully lead a team?
I don't know. That's a great question.
So, like, from where you're at today, you would like to build a team of agents that you're helping grow and develop that talent and help them become successful, like at real estate. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And I honestly, I think a lot of agents would disagree with me. I don't care about the profitability. I'm going to make money no matter what.
Right.
So I don't care if I'm making this much or this much. If you come to me and you say, I just don't know how to do real estate, but I am fired the hell up, and I want to leave you in 12 months, and I want to take all your secrets, and I want to go start my own team that competes against you, my response is going to be, awesome. Let's build that 12-month plan, and let's make you 10 times better than me and get you out of here in 12 months. Like, I love that.
Right. Yeah. So well, the hard thing for me to give you advice on is what I think you already know. So maybe there's people that are listening that don't know this. So the technical advice that I would give you is to actually genuinely care about that person and want to help them become successful. The hard thing about building a team for most people that have built teams that are watching this are going to say, yeah, but you end up finding there's so many people that you want it more than they want it. And you can't, it's really difficult for you to push them to, and I'm sure you've experienced this at some point as an NCO, that they just don't want it and they're never going to grow. And that is a really difficult thing for personality types like we have when we encounter that, because we know they could be so much more than what they're currently willing to give to be, to become better. And so for that's the hardest part that I wrestle with, because every person I know that's ever built a team wants that person to be successful. But you got to kind of weed out the people that don't have the right minds, or that don't have something that they want. Like, they got to want to become something more than where they're at.
Yes.
And if they have that, like what you started with, they have that burning desire, like, I'm fired up. Like, if they have that, then you can help that person. But I think it starts with, it's not about the money. It's not about necessarily starting with the script. It's about where are they now? Where are they trying to get to personally, and helping them and personally understanding their goals and helping them navigate life. It's not just about selling a house. It's about, understanding, that they, caring and deeply caring about them at a personal level, and having those one-on-one meetings consistently every single week, so that they know that you care about them, and that person is going to be ride or die with you, because you're not going to solve just their how to sell real estate. You're going to solve their life problems that you've been through, and help them navigate things that that where nobody's ever taken the time to help them focus on how much money they need to set aside to get out of debt, and truly mentor them as a human being. And so I think that's really the the technical thing that I would tell you is have a have a process where you get them clear, you help them become a better version of themselves, and focus on helping people have accomplish their own vision. And you can never have a shared vision as a team until people believe they can accomplish their own personal vision. And when people start to accomplish their own personal vision because you push them into and help them to do that, then that person will work day and night to make sure that they help you accomplish your vision as well. And so like it starts with that individualism and really caring about a human being and dealing with it at that level. If you want to see them be successful, and you want to ultimately build a successful team, even if they're going to leave you. And I love that you said that, because that's really, if your goal is to someday go on your own and build your own team, then that becomes my goal. Right. Like, and when you leave, it's not bittersweet. When you leave, it means that we succeeded. We're going to have, we're going to hug, we might cry. We're going to celebrate that moment. It's not going to be bitter for me because you're leaving me. It's going to be, we succeeded at the goal and I helped you to get there. And, that's the cool thing about EXP. I hate to plug it again, but that's the cool thing about EXP is that there's still that financial alignment, which it always is incongruent, even if that feels really good for you knew that's what they wanted. And it's like your kid leaving to go off to school or whatever, right? Yeah. Like that was the goal, but like, I hate to see you go, and then there's this, this financial gap that happens if you have a team, and it can be a gap that can be crippling to your team. So you got to be careful about that and understanding that. But at least at EXP, that can be the vision, and that can be the known vision for them that you're trying to get them to. Yep. And when they do move on, it's a celebration, and there's still a little financial reward because you're getting revenue share, and you're going to support them, at a high level still moving on to, and the more success stories like that you have, the more you actually make a little bit off the back end of all that. At the end of the day, everybody still wins, and it's not, there's not that bittersweet moment. So that, I don't know if that answered your question, but that's my answer to that question.
I dig it, man. I dig it. And I'm thinking processes right now. Like, how do I set up all that training, and and I'm already doing it right now. It's just me and my wife. My wife is admin, and she does not have a passion for this business. She has a passion for me, and I have a passion for this business. So, and she used to be a front desk girl. So she took the packet and punched it into the MLS, and she took the phone call and transferred it to the agent. But now I'm trying to teach her, when you call this person, you have to say this way. But if you call that person, I know it looks like the same thing, but you can't say this because of and she's like, well, this is way too much, man. Right. And the only way to fix that is to have consistent training, which is tough because you don't see, unless you're really mature, you don't see the dividends, right? The rewards coming from that immediately. Mm-hmm. And you're just thinking, holy shit, I just lost an hour. I just lost 2 hours. And you didn't. You just gained a better employee, but it's hard to see short term,
Sure is. Yeah. That's a great point.
Well, man, I can't tell you how much I appreciate this. This has been absolutely awesome. I appreciate all of the great insight, the knowledge that you shared with us. And if there's ever anything I can do for you, just let me know, my man.
Yeah, man. Hey, let me tell you, what makes a great interview is a great interviewer and great questions. And you brought the wood today. This is something that I'm going to go back and watch myself. I think you did a phenomenal job with the interview and asking questions and really digging deep and being genuine. And, it's a pleasure to be a part of it. And if you ever need anything from me, I'm certainly here to help anytime.
Where do we find you on social media?
Oh, yeah. So I'm pretty easy to find. Instagram handle, jkinder82, or go to jkinder.com. And that's going to be, kind of my little splash page for I got going on. So if you're looking for where I'm going to be event wise or what's coming up next or what we're doing at EXP, it's all there. And love to connect, and would love to help you any way I can.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy. Good
right,
times, man.
Have a good one.
Have a good evening. Yep. You too.